They're loud. You can hear it. They make recordings of themselves. So what's the difference?
Are you afraid?
Yes.
We're all afraid.
Many Democrats and so-called journalists like that one put their heads in the sand. The Trump administration is fighting back. Just today, Trump stripped Harvard's student visa program for failing to cooperate with the DHS investigation into pro-terrorist conduct at campus protests. We've all seen it. And not long ago, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem issued this warning to all colleges and universities. Watch this.
Harvard brought these consequences upon themselves. They have promoted and allowed violent activity on campus. They have allowed anti-Semitism, participation with CCP and Chinese infiltration and influence on their campus, and they haven't protected their students. This should be a warning to every other university to get your act together. Get your act together, because we are coming to make sure that these programs, that you are facilitating an environment where students can learn, where they're safe, and that they're not discriminated against based on their race or their religion.
Here and more is Israeli Special Ops veteran Aaron Cohen and the Executive Director of the Lawfare Project, Brooke Goldstein. Thank you both for joining me. Aaron, I'll start with you. Are you at all surprised with the hate that unfolded itself here in Washington, D.C. tonight? These two lovely people, God rest their souls, may their memory be a blessing, gunned down in the prime of their lives.
No, first of all, it's good to see Kelly. I'm not surprised at all. I've been saying this for the last 2 years. The only direction that all of this calling for the Intifada is going to go up, and eventually it's going to hit violence, and that's what has happened. But I want to talk to the root of what I believe is behind all of this, all of the rhetoric, all of the chanting. What we're seeing right now, and I want to talk to this from the counterterrorism space, isn't just chaos on campus, Kellyanne. This is called fifth generation warfare. No missiles, no soldiers. This is ideological infiltration, psychological manipulation, and algorithmic warfare. And this is how modern enemies of America fight. They're not storming our borders. They are hijacking our platforms. Iran, China, other hostile actors are physically weaponizing social media, which has radicalized the youth and created this destabilized movement throughout our culture. This is actually what's happening. It's turned Americans against each other from within. And that's what this anti-Semitism is. This is where it's coming from. And that's the root of these protests. This is the modern battlefield.
Scary. Brooke Goldstein. So students go to campuses, we would think, to learn, the old reading, writing, arithmetic. Now they just hear hate, violence, and they're incited to do that on their own. And what Aaron is laying out for us, I'm sure you are all too familiar with as well. But I wanted to ask you, when the president is taking action today, for example, against Harvard, and we've all seen what's happened at Columbia and Penn and other universities, some of our elite universities accept 4 to 5% of all their applicants. What else can be done as a culture for us to make sure that we are breaking the back of this on our college campuses, where so much of this political violence on the left is fomenting?
Thank you, Kellyanne, for having me on tonight. And really, I think Aaron is right. This is the greatest subversive influence campaign that this country has ever seen. We have a major problem of terror, pro-terror radicalization happening on our campuses. We have foreign funding terror cells. We have judges preventing the Trump administration from enforcing the law, from getting rid of people who are here illegally. Excuse me. And what we saw last night is a direct result of the unchecked spread of this blood libel. These two young people who were celebrating life, who were about to get engaged, were gunned down in cold blood. And you know what, Kellyanne? It could have been me. It could have been any of my friends or colleagues. Just last night, I was at a fundraiser in Miami for Zaka, the nonprofit organization that is tasked with picking up the dead body parts and the blood of Jews murdered and slaughtered slaughtered and killed and burned alive on October the 7th. It was the same group picking up the blood on the streets of DC after this attack. Because whether you were Jewish in Israel or you were Jewish on the streets of America or Paris or London, it doesn't matter. This is Jew hatred. It is not political. And when Pam Bondi was asked this morning, what is the motive of the shooter, as though we don't know, he said it himself. He said he's doing this for Gaza, to free Palestine. He says it himself. What pro-Palestinian advocacy is genocidal Jew hatred. And what is so chilling, and I'll end with this, is that Yaron's last post was calling out the United Nations for spreading blood libels. They say that this was a lone shooter. It wasn't. He had co-conspirators, everyone in the mainstream media, everyone at the United Nations, every single Ivy League professor, every social media influencer and left-wing politician that's been spreading blood libels, untruths to dehumanize Jews, to delegitimize Israel, is responsible for the death of these two young people. And only President Trump and God can stop this. And we have to support everything he is doing in the Department of Homeland Security, and especially the Justice Department, which, by the way, just filed a statement of interest in the Lawfare Project's lawsuit against the City University of New York, because this is not free speech. When speech turns into assaults, harassment, threats, actions, violations of civil rights, and ultimately death, it is not protected in this country.
Well, that's really the issue here, Aaron. Brooke lays it out so beautifully. People will say, well, I have free speech rights. I can believe as I believe. I can worship as I want. But when you have Ilhan Omar, can't even give a condolence to the families of these two young people, regardless of their religion, their gender, their socioeconomic status, their race. She's asked about the shooting last night of this couple. It could have been any couple. But because they were Jewish, it seems to me, Ilhan Omar, who's got an anti-American, anti-Semitic recent past, can't express condolences. What do we do about folks like that serving behind me in Congress?
Well, I don't think there's anything you can do about her specifically, but what I can do is I can talk about what can be done. Look, Ilhan Omar is an enemy of the state. I don't know how else to put that. She's anti-American. She's anti-Israel. Her and her squad want to see this country destroyed. I almost feel like she's part of it. I feel like she's literally trying to serve Somalia over the American interest. And this is America first time. Now, I want to say this, and I want to say this to anybody on President Trump's team who may be listening. What we can't do, and again, this speaks to the systematic hijacking of the algorithm, Kellyanne, it's time for the United States to partner with the private sector and put together a full spectrum AI platform designed to predict and prevent domestic threats before they strike. From digitally radicalized youth to these ideological lone wolves, this kid is a Hispanic kid, 30 years old from Chicago, has never been to Gaza, doesn't speak a word of Arabic, and he's calling for the death. Then he murdered two Jews in cold blood, executed them, which means the only way to get at this is to detect the pre-attack behavior, flag signs of the radicalization, and support law enforcement through a real-time behavioral threat intelligence AI-driven program that partners with DHS, local law enforcement, school districts, and even parents, and be able to upload that AI chat with Israeli special operations